Well, Thanksgiving Day is, what, 4 days from now? It's time that we talk turkey. Now, last week's lesson, my title was Turkey and Dressing and Pies. Oh my. And the main theme was no matter the conditions surrounding us, that we have the opportunity with love to see through those conditions, through the veil of all circumstances, to a rightful solution. That's our opportunity. And I shared this statement. Through the prism of God's love, I recognize the presence of God and humankind. And I have perfect vision now. That is a hard nut to crack sometimes. I have the perfect vision now. In the midst of all of life, in the midst of all of the drama, and Kathy Robbins calls it conflama, conflict and drama, that surrounds us in life, we have an opportunity to see through it, to stand for a moment, to use the old, when I was raised, we had, when you walked up to a railroad track, what did we do? We stopped, we looked, and we listened. And that's a really good basic, everything I know I learned in kindergarten. It's one of those basic, fundamental, how to live your life. Stop for a moment. Look. Identify what's happening. You don't have to take it in, but it's happening. You don't deny it. And then we have the opportunity to see it different. Some people call it seeing rightly in a situation. Sometimes we get some conflama. That's for our own best interest, don't we? Sometimes people get to come up and smack you with a dose of reality. And you go, oh, thank you for that. Most times. Thank you for that. And that's part of it. Seeing, even in that moment, oh, yeah, I was not seeing it right. So when we come from a place of being open and wanting to move into life with a rightful attitude and a rightful seeing, then even those types of reactions from our beloveds can help us. So as we begin to live in a more centered state of what I call being, the sense of being out of balance and the feeling of being separate tends to go away, diminishes. And the result is a more peaceful state of mind. Who doesn't want that? I mean, I want that. And that's our natural state. That's our natural state. Our spiritual state of mind. It's peaceful. It's clear. We all know when we've been there, once or twice in our lives, haven't we? To be as peace and clarity does not mean to, leave your mind idle. It's like putting your car in idle and wanting to go somewhere. Sit at the wheel, play pretend. Oh boy, where am I going? Nowhere. The mind is never idle. Even though we're in a peaceful state, that's when it's the most receptive to what it is we tell ourselves. That we are, that we have, that we want, what we used to be. So the mind is very, very powerful. It's all we use. It's like our very breath. In this Teaching Science of Mind, our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, says, what is the mind? Mind comes under two classifications. Now, there are not two minds, but rather two names, employed in describing states of consciousness. Two aspects. It's like bookends surrounding all the knowledge. that we have gathered so far. There's the conscious or the objective aspect of mind, and there is the subjective or subconscious. Y'all getting this yet?
Yeah.
That's what happens when you talk this stuff, you know. What was that? What did this say? Okay, the object of our thinking goes into the subject of our desires. Got that? We give it directive. It's like having a staff, having your own staff that serves you. That's mind. It serves us. But we have to be more conscious of what we're ordering out. It's like at a restaurant. What do you order? And sometimes you get something, I'm not going to order that again. Because it's not very tasty to us. Someone else might like it. And they can order that. And I bless them for that. I don't want it. Maybe. I don't want that. So the conscious is our conscious use of mind. Consciously using it. It is this, oh, hello. Hello. Back up. Okay.
Yep.
There we go. All right. So it is this unconscious state that we get to move our ideas into. And it's put in creative mode, it's kicked up, it's energized, it's given fuel by our conscious mind, our conscious state of thinking. So, are you conscious or are you sleeping? Are you conscious or are you... When you make decisions, do you make them out of what happened 20 years ago? Are you living there still, using the same reactions, the same way of thinking, and yet you say, I want something new. You getting it? No, you wouldn't get it necessarily. Same old thing over and over, over and over. Now it might have some more seasoning on it, but it's the same old basic stuff. So I believe it's important for three things here. To begin to realize the importance of the powerful characteristics of conscious and unconscious states of mind. It's really important. And to recognize the directive power we have use of to create the life we desire. And the third is to remain expectant of something greater. It doesn't mean that what we're having right now isn't really good. But to be open puts us in a place of peacefulness, with a little bit of wonder behind it. So I believe the key to a life filled with aliveness is to remain expectant, to see through what is now, even though it may seem, like I said, to be the very best. I just had a flash. Spirit says, how many of you have more than one child? Was it any less exciting second child? You were high in anticipation of this newness. And fathers, sometimes fathers have a different view of that. But I think children coming along is like a great example of let's expect this newness. What's it really going to be like? I love it already, but what's it going to be like? I can't wait to see it. Can't wait to experience it. So that's the expectant nature that we come into our lives with that gives us the greatest joy to expect the very, very, very best. Some of you may be thinking, just how is all this possible to have this kind of attitude and to create something wonderfully different and greater? Well, our founder, Dr. Holmes, tells us, as we gain a broader viewpoint, we shall see that life must contain two fundamental characteristics. We shall see there's an infinite spirit operating through an infinite and immutable law, which means this law is always working. We can't get out of it. So you might as well get in line with it. And in this cosmos, not chaos, find an external existence in reality. It'll find its natural path. Love points the way, and law makes the way possible. So anything we back up with love. I always like to say that if it diminishes and or hurts no one else, we do it with love. That's love. If we're taking away from somebody, that's diminishing. If you're comparing this to that, it could be diminishing. But to back everything with love is the easy, loving path. And so what happens is we begin to discover the spiritual law behind all of life, the way it works. The more we use it, the more we discover how easy it is to use. And the way it works is called principle. There's a principle behind everything. Principles in the science of mind is the source or the cause from which a thing results. A truth which is unchangeable. That's a principle. And so, as we begin to understand this thing called principle, we are able to relate it to our situation for the final test. And the final test is, how's your life working for you? It might be time to check your principle. There are 15 students that just completed 10 weeks here at the center, processing through the class called Prosperity Plus. And the major principle that Mary Morrissey shared was the principle of conscious and unconscious mind. Just what I've been sharing with you. Conscious, subconscious, conscious, unconscious. Here it is. Everything has been created twice. Everything's been created twice. First, the idea in the mind. Second, we see it out in the world. The chair, the flowers, the arrangement. First was an idea. So everything you see, when you begin to see from the perspective that's been created twice, it's very powerful to know that we do have dominion over our conscious choosing. And the result we get is what we get. But the result we get is many times laced with a lot of our own seasoning of it as it's being produced. How many of you do a turkey dressing? Does it taste the same every time? Exactly the same? Do you have a little more of this one time, or are you just down to the very grain of salt that you put into it? So there's nuances that we add to whatever it is we're producing. And like the dressing, if we don't like that, we can change it up. We can add more or less of something to what it is we say we want. So first in the aspect of conscious mind, and second in the aspect of unconscious mind, this is talking turkey. Because this is what it's about. This is what our life's about. And this is the turkey with a capital T, which is truth turkey here this morning. In this teaching, when we capitalize a word, it refers to a higher truth. So I'll let you guys decide what higher T turkey means to you. But we live in a world where there is so much to see and there's so much to experience. And I believe that through more and more of an understanding of this, a bigger idea, the idea that everything's been created twice, that we begin to realize the absolute power that we have with our ideas and our role as the masters of our own lives. Because no one else can master your life but you. You can give up mastering your life, but that's still mastering. You've made a choice. You've made a choice. Our divine birthright is one of plenty. And this plenty is our here comes the tea, spiritual stuffing. And each of us has our own individual taste and our own ideas of how to do our life. This inner stuff is quite personal. I know that. And we tend to protect it at all costs. Sometimes we just really want to savor and keep our own stuff going because we're so familiar with it. And you see, you and I set whatever ideas around this protection. And when we do that, it limits the greater life. And so some of the most common statements that I find keep me from the life that I want are these. I can't do that. I can't have that. I can't be that. Whatever we state after I, capital I, engages conscious mind and therefore becomes our reality. We set our own limitations. This is from Dr. Ernest Holmes. Do we desire to live in a world peopled with friends who love us, surrounded by things beautiful and pleasing? There is but one way, and this way is as certain as the sun shines. Daily we must control all thought that denies the real and affirm the divine presence within us. Then, as the mist disappears before the sun, just looking through the veil, through the illusion, so shall adversity melt before the shining radiance of our exalted thought. The prodigal son remained a prodigal son as long as he chose to do so. When he chose to, he returned to his father's house and was greeted with outstretched hands. So shall our experience be when we return to the world which is perfect. There will be something that will turn to us. We shall behold a new heaven and a new earth, not in some far-off place, but here and now. Act as though I am and I will be. The Spirit of truth will lead us into all good, for this is the high road to the fulfillment of our lives. There is then no limitation outside our own ignorance. And since we can all conceive of a greater good than we have so far experienced, we all have the ability to transcend previous experiences and rise triumphant above them. But we shall never triumph over them while we persist in going through the old mental reactions. So, let's get conscious, shall we? Let's get conscious. By changing the idea after the I word, what if we said, I can? I am. Let's try that. I can.
I can.
You can?
Yeah.
I can? I can. All right. I am.
I am.
There you go. That's, yeah, I am. It's good. So, do you see the difference? When you claim something that's more affirming, it all works. But I'd rather go with the I can and the I am. So choosing a new idea equals a new direction, which equals a greater life in form. So, when we're talking Turkey, it's called let's practice. So we have to practice what we're thinking and talking about. So, I have a affirmation for us in that regard. So please repeat after me. I can have the life I choose.
I can have the life I choose.
Because I am conscious. There you go.
There you go.
There you go. I can because I am. I can because I am. That's the only reason you need for anything in your life. I can because I am. And that backs up everything we do in our lives. Everything. Franklin Roosevelt said, "There are many ways of moving forward, but only one way of standing still." So, beloveds, we are spiritually equipped to create a magnificent life. Aren't we? We are. Do you believe that? No. Well, I mean, sometimes. When the car's running. You and I have all the ideas and the means at our disposal. Because you don't have to have the... I'm going to say this. You don't have to have in your possession at this moment all the means. Because I am. People come forward. This has been this last 5 weeks. There's been so many means come through all of this to me and to the center, and I'm just keeping my heart open. And so it's been a great, great opportunity to stay conscious, to not get caught up in conflama. Although it happens, I don't get caught up in it, but I let it happen, and then there's clarity. And so you and I have all the ideas and means at our disposal, already inside of us. It's in the mental drawer in your mind labeled my potential. My potential. But we must first open our minds, our drawer of potential, and listen to the sweet voice of our inner knower. Can you do this?
I can.
Yes.
I can.
Can you do this?
I can.
Please say, I can.
I can.
Because
Because
I am grateful beyond measure.
I am grateful beyond measure.
So as my lesson ends here, I share the wisdom of my beloved Reverend Louis. This is out of one of his lessons here. Infinite wisdom guides each of us. Our native intelligence, our inner knowing, is the pulse which makes and powers our thought center. Divine intelligence within always knows what we need and require and supplies it when we trust, when we know and we accept. It is done unto us as we truly believe. Not a weak-kneed mamby-pamby, only if I knew thought, but what do you truly believe and know? Some of us may not use this wisdom to our full potential, but it awaits our recognition. It's our choice. And then he quoted one of his clients saying, "We're just a work in progress. We're just a work in progress." And we are, taking, making, and expressing what we know, and making it work for us. Thanks a lot. And so, remember to be conscious with the words you use, and your beliefs spoken. You have the ability to direct a mighty moving force for good in your life. Stand in gratitude and give thanks often. So I start right now by thanking you for your love. I am so blessed, and so are you. Namaste.
Namaste.
So it is.